In 1993, Ted Danson walked onto a stage and made a choice so shocking that even Howard Stern later called it insane. The crowd froze, some walked out, headlines exploded, and for months the fallout dominated the press. It looked like the end of his career. But that infamous moment wasn't his only scandal. For years, Ted had been hiding painful truths about his health, his emotional immaturity, and his affairs. Now, at 77, he has finally opened up about the disasters that almost ruined him, and his most painful confession isn't what most people expect. Ted Danson was born on December 29, 1947, in San Diego, but his earliest memories weren't of the beach. Soon after his birth, the family moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, a quiet town surrounded by mountains and Native American history. His father, an archaeologist, became curator of the Museum of Northern Arizona in 1959, a role he held until 1975. Ted's mother and older sister made up a small but close family unit, their lives steeped in history and culture. Home, however, wasn't easy. Money was scarce. His father's museum salary barely covered the essentials. There was no television in the house, and Ted wore hand-me-downs from his sister. He once described himself as looking like a ragamuffin. Even when he became a wealthy star, the fear of scarcity never left him. He admitted that he developed an odd way of seeing money, believing people were simply tubes it passed through. Those early hardships created a survival mindset that shaped his adult life. In 1961, at age 14, Ted's parents sent him across the country to Kent School, an elite Connecticut boarding school filled with polished East Coast kids from wealthy families. Ted arrived as the awkward outsider from Arizona. His classmates mocked his clothes and small-town background. The culture shock was brutal until he found his place on the basketball court. He was talented enough that people stopped focusing on his differences and started respecting him as an athlete. But Ted was also carrying a secret. He had been born with Poland syndrome, a rare condition that left one side of his chest without muscle. Locker rooms were torment. He was teased relentlessly. For decades, he kept the condition hidden, only speaking publicly about it in 2000. Still, through sheer determination, he used basketball to protect his confidence and escape his shame. After high school, Ted attended Stanford University. He often joked that he faked his way in. He was a poor student, treating exams like puzzles to beat rather than lessons to absorb. Then, a chance encounter changed his life. Hoping to impress a girl, he tagged along to an acting audition. Instead of winning her, he discovered something inside himself. Acting clicked. He started sleeping in his car to stay close to the theater. By the late 1960s, he had transferred to Carnegie Mellon University, known for its intense drama program. He struggled with nerves, even panic attacks, but kept pushing. By 1972, he graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts and headed straight to New York. New York was tough. Ted scraped by with carpentry jobs, restaurant shifts, and small acting gigs. He lived hand to mouth, but the struggle taught him discipline, resilience, and empathy for everyday working people. Those experiences later helped him play blue collars, roles with authenticity. In 1975, Ted landed his first steady gig on the soap opera Somerset as Tom Conway. A year later, he switched to The Doctors, playing Dr. Mitchell Pearson. Soap operas gave him valuable training, memorizing endless dialogue and performing under relentless schedules, but he felt like he was working in a factory. He craved something deeper. That opportunity came in 1978 when he portrayed LAPD officer Ian Campbell in The Onion Field, a true crime film based on a real detective's tragic murder. The role demanded weight and seriousness, and critics took notice. Guest roles followed on Mrs. Columbo, The Amazing Spider-Man, and BJ and the Bear, and casting directors started seeing Danson as more than a soap star. Meanwhile, his personal life was tumultuous. Ted had married actress Randi Gosch in 1970, but the marriage ended in 1975. In 1977, he married producer Casey Coates. Their family life took a tragic turn in 1979 when Casey suffered a massive stroke while giving birth to their daughter, Kate. Doctors warned she might never walk again. Ted was devastated. He slept on the hospital floor for 3 weeks. Though Casey recovered enough to walk, the trauma left deep scars. They later adopted another daughter, Alexis. Their marriage unraveled in the early 1990s, torn apart by distance, pain, and eventually Ted's affair with Whoopi Goldberg. In 1982, Ted auditioned for a new sitcom, Cheers. He beat out NFL player Fred Dryer for the role of Sam Malone, a retired Red Sox pitcher turned bar owner. The character, a recovering alcoholic, resonated with Danson's own family history of addiction. He infused Sam with charm, humor, and vulnerability. Cheers debuted on September 30th, 1982, and at first, it was a flop, ranking 74th out of 77 shows. But critics saw its potential. NBC took a gamble and renewed it. By 1986, it was a top 10 hit. By its 9th season, it hit number 1. Danson's chemistry with Shelley Long, who played Diane Chambers, defined the show. Even though off-screen, they often clashed. Their tension only fueled the on-screen romance. By the late 1980s, Cheers was a cultural phenomenon. When the finale aired on May 20th, 1993, 80 million people tuned in, making it the second most-watched TV finale ever. By then, Danson was earning $500,000 per episode, the highest-paid actor on television, but fame and money couldn't save his personal life. By 1993, his marriage was over. His affair with Whoopi Goldberg, his co-star in the 1993 film Made in America, had made headlines, and their relationship imploded after a disastrous Friars Club roast. That night, Danson appeared in blackface, used racial slurs, and made crude jokes. Montel Williams walked out. The audience fell silent. Even Howard Stern later described it as career suicide. Whoopi defended him, saying she had helped write the material, but the damage was enormous. Danson himself had predicted, "Backstage, this will end my career." For a while, it seemed he was right. Yet, Danson clawed his way back. In 1996, he starred in NBC's lavish miniseries Gulliver's Travels, earning an Emmy nomination. In 1998, Steven Spielberg cast him in Saving Private Ryan as Captain Fred Hamill. It was a small but significant role, proof he could deliver. Serious drama. The film grossed $482 million worldwide and won 5 Oscars. Suddenly, Ted had something more valuable than sitcom fame: respect. That same year, CBS took a risk on Becker. Premiering November 2nd, 1998, it cast Danson as Dr. John. Becker, a cranky Bronx physician. The role drew directly from his personal battles. By then, he was privately suffering from plaque psoriasis, a painful autoimmune disease he had hidden for decades. In later seasons, the show addressed chronic illness directly, allowing Danson to merge his personal truth with his performance. Becker lasted 6 seasons, airing its finale in January 2004 after 129 episodes. At its peak, it drew 16 million viewers a week. Danson earned $300,000 per episode, but behind the money, he battled anxiety and burnout. A surprise career revival came through Curb Your Enthusiasm. Initially skeptical, Danson agreed to play himself as a guest. That appearance led to 33 more episodes across 12 seasons. His willingness to parody himself earned him a new generation of fans. In 2016, Danson took on one of his most beloved roles yet, Michael in The Good Place. The supernatural comedy, which ran until 2020, earned him 3 consecutive Emmy nominations and a Critics' Choice Award. At 70, he was giving one of the most celebrated performances of his career. He kept working into his late 70s. In 2025, he starred opposite Mary Steenburgen, his wife since 1995, in A Man on the Inside, a Netflix series based on the Mole Agent documentary. The show, praised for its tenderness and humor, earned him yet another Golden Globe nomination. Through it all, Ted never forgot another passion: protecting the oceans. Since 1987, when he founded the American Oceans Campaign, which later merged into Oceana, he has lobbied Congress, narrated documentaries, and written books. In 2025, he and Mary received the Bob Hope Humanitarian Award for their decades of activism. But alongside triumphs came grief. In May 2025, his close friend and Cheers co-star George Wendt died at age 76. Ted was devastated, describing the loss as leaving a huge hole. It reminded him of his lifelong struggle with mortality. He admitted in 2024 that even small aches triggered fear. What if he died before finishing what he started? For years, he avoided mirrors, ashamed of his psoriasis. Only recently did he join national campaigns to destigmatize the disease. Looking back, Danson confessed something startling. He didn't truly grow up until his 40s. He called himself a liar in past relationships, a man running from emotional pain. His 1993 scandals humiliated his parents, but in hindsight, he says he's grateful for those messy years. They forced him to grow, to be honest, and to become the man Mary Steenburgen saw and loved for who he really was.